Alright, so picture this. You're crouched in a bush in some game, waiting for an enemy guard to pass, trying to be all stealthy. You're patiently waiting, then, oops, you accidentally hit the wrong button and jump out, causing your whole stealth run to hilariously end. We've all had that stealth fail moment. But it got me thinking, stealth at its best isn't about just sitting there and being invisible. It's more about being forgettable. That's the magic old school Assassin's Creed used to capture. The hood, the hidden blade, that perfect moment where you slip through a crowd, strike once, and vanish like a ghost. Now fast forward to today. Assassin's Creed has you riding a glowing horse through town, wearing armor that looks like it fell out of a Destiny raid. Cool, I guess. Assassin-y? Not even close. And that's where Hitman comes in, because somehow Agent 47, the bald dude with a barcode on his head, ended up delivering the assassin fantasy way better than Ubisoft's own Assassin's Creed franchise. So today, let's talk about why Hitman feels more like Assassin's Creed than Assassin's Creed itself, and why that's both kinda great and kinda depressing. Back in the day, Assassin's Creed felt dangerous in the best way. You weren't a superhero, you weren't tanking hits like Kratos, you were an assassin. One hidden blade, one clean strike, and anyone in your path could fall. That was the fantasy. Hiding in plain sight, sitting on a bench pretending to people watch until shink, the target was gone before anyone even knew what happened. But somewhere along the way, Ubisoft traded that fantasy for something louder, flashier, and honestly, way less assassin-y. Now you're storming forts, mowing down waves of enemies, and occasionally squaring off with mythical beasts like you wandered into a Dark Souls DLC. Don't get me wrong, those moments can be awesome, but let's be real, they don't exactly scream master of stealth. What makes it sting even more is that the series is literally called Assassin's Creed. The word assassin is right there on the box, like, right there. And yet the core gameplay loop will sometimes feel more like a Viking simulator or a loot grinder. And if you've been around since Assassin's Creed 2 or Brotherhood, you know exactly what I mean. That deliberate, methodical pacing. The tension of following a target through a crowded square. The thrill of striking once and disappearing into chaos. That's the part that's rare to come by now. So, while Assassin's Creed drifted away from that identity, another franchise quietly picked up the cloak and dagger and ran with it. Which brings us to Hitman. In comes Agent 47, a bald dude in a suit who somehow makes red ties look intimidating. The Hitman reboot trilogy, World of Assassination, didn't waste time with filler or half-baked open worlds. It gave you one job: find the target, take them out, and walk away without anyone knowing. That's pretty much it. And yet, within that simple loop, the game delivers some of the deepest stealth gameplay out there. Every mission feels like IO Interactive built a living, breathing diorama just for you to toy with. Paris fashion shows, luxury hotels in Bangkok, markets packed with NPCs in Marrakesh, creepy mansions in Dartmoor, you name it. And the beauty is how these environments are designed like giant puzzles. You're not told how to do it. The game just drops you in, hands you a box of tools, and basically says, "Good luck, 47. Don't screw it up." The best part is, you decide the approach. Do you sneak in as a waiter, slip poison into a drink, and stroll out like nothing happened? Or do you engineer an accident? A loose chandelier, a faulty gas stove, a perfectly timed push off a balcony? Or maybe you go old school with a silenced pistol and a clean escape route. Every option is valid, and none of it feels scripted. That's why Hitman works. It doesn't drown you in busy work or hold your hand. It trusts you to figure things out, to experiment, to fail hilariously, and then reload for another try. And in a weird twist of fate, that loop of quiet setups, creative kills, and clean exits feels a lot closer to classic Assassin's Creed than the actual Assassin's Creed games we get today. What often sets stealth games apart is how well implemented and intuitive the stealth mechanics are. And that's where the social stealth comes in. That's the nobody notices you're there kind of mechanic. The one that Assassin's Creed nailed in their first few games. Blend into a crowd, sit on a bench, walk alongside courtesans. It was all about moving through the world without drawing suspicion. But while Ubisoft quietly shoved that mechanic into the attic like an old toy they didn't feel like playing with anymore, IO Interactive doubled down on it. In Hitman, social stealth isn't simply a side feature, it's basically the entire game. Every level is packed with NPCs living their own little AI lives, and your job is to slip into that flow without raising alarms. You're not trying to vanish completely, you're trying to be forgettable. You put on a waiter's outfit, carry a tray like you belong there, and suddenly you're just background noise. Nobody questions you, until you sneakily slide a little poison into the wrong champagne glass. That's the genius aspect of Hitman. It's not about being invisible. People know you're in the room. They just don't suspect you're the one pulling strings until it's far too late. That moment when the crowd gasps, your target hits the floor, and you're already walking calmly toward the exit, that's the assassin fantasy distilled to its purest form. Honestly, Hitman makes me feel like a sharper assassin than most of the recent Assassin's Creed entries ever have. Which is kinda wild considering Ubisoft has been running around with a literal franchise called Assassin's Creed for over 15 years. If you've been around the franchise long enough, you'll remember when Ubisoft flirted with something brilliant: black box missions. Assassin's Creed Unity, Syndicate, even Mirage dabbled in them. The idea was simple: drop you into a location, give you a target, and then let you figure out how to pull it off. The problem is, Ubisoft never fully committed to it. Those missions were pretty rare to come by, more like little experiments sprinkled between long stretches of side quests, loot grinding, and find some crafting materials busy work. It kinda felt like the devs were sitting on something special, but didn't fully realize its full potential. Now flip over to Hitman. That entire trilogy is one massive black box playground. Every single map, from the Miami Expo show to the vineyard in Mendoza, is basically a self-contained assassination puzzle. You spawn in, you've got your targets, and from there it's total freedom. Want to start in the kitchen dressed as staff? Earn the mastery for that. Want to sneak in from the rooftops? Unlock it and try it. Every disguise, every starting point, every weird accident you engineer, it all feeds back into replay value. That's the main difference. Assassin's Creed flirted with the idea and then abandoned it. Hitman built its whole identity around it. The replay loop is addictive because it keeps you experimenting without the need for checking boxes. Your first run might be a clean pistol shot. The second run, you're yanking wires to drop a chandelier mid-speech. Then the third run has you behind the bar, serving your target a lethal cocktail with a polite smile. Each time feels fresh because the game encourages creativity instead of funneling you down one path. Ubisoft teased us with that freedom, but IO Interactive delivered it. The real magic of Hitman isn't just that you can eliminate a target. It's how many ridiculous, clever, and downright cinematic ways you can pull it off. The game practically dares you to think outside the box. Sure, you could walk up behind your mark and pop them with a pistol. Efficient, clean, but a bit boring. So why stop there when you can orchestrate a 5-step intricate death machine involving a conveniently placed faulty microphone? That's style. That's what separates Hitman from the modern Assassin's Creed. In AC, most missions funnel you into one or two acceptable outcomes. In Hitman, the sandbox practically laughs at the idea of a right way. Every disguise you steal, every starting location you unlock, every accident you stage, it's all part of the experimentation loop. The game rewards you for trying something new, for replaying the same mission 10 different ways just to see what chaos you can cause. And that freedom is fantastic and open-ended. You want to ghost the entire mission, never change disguises, slip in and out without anyone even knowing you were there? Well, you can. You want to cosplay John Wick and go loud, dropping half the map before casually taking out your target? The game lets you do that too, even if it's not quite the elegant way to play. That level of freedom is why Hitman stays fresh. Every time you load into a map, you're telling yourself, alright, what's the plan this time? And no two runs ever feel the same. It's the perfect blend of puzzle solving and improvisation. and it keeps you hooked way longer than Ubisoft's grind-heavy RPG systems ever could. Alright, so if Hitman is carrying the torch for true assassin gameplay, where does that leave the future of stealth and gaming? IO Interactive is already cooking up a James Bond game, and from what we've seen so far, that's the perfect playground to expand on what they built with Hitman. Suave disguises, elaborate environments, intuitive gadgets, it's practically begging for the same sandbox assassination design, just shaken, not stirred. Meanwhile, Ubisoft keeps hinting at a darker, creepier entry with Assassin's Creed Hexa. From what we've heard, the rumors suggest it might lean harder into paranoia and witch trial themes, which could bring stealth back into focus. But if history's any indicator, there's always the risk they load it up with RPG progression systems and combat-heavy missions. Will they finally commit to that slower, more deliberate assassin fantasy again? I guess we'll find out. Either way, fans are practically handing Ubisoft a blueprint. Hitman showed that people want replayable, creative assassination sandboxes. The demand is there. The question is whether Ubisoft is willing to follow through. Or if they'll let IO, and maybe even Bond, own the space completely. So here we have it. The franchise called Assassin's Creed slowly drifted away from the very thing that made it iconic: stealth, tension, and that perfect one-shot kill fantasy. Meanwhile, Hitman doubled down on those exact ideas and turned them into its entire identity. Agent 47 doesn't need glowing armor or a mythical mount, he just needs a disguise, a plan, and a clear exit. And somehow that feels more Assassin's Creed than most Assassin's Creed games today. I suppose that's why Hitman resonates so much with longtime fans of Ubisoft's series. It captures the thrill of being hidden in plain sight, of turning the environment into your weapon, of outsmarting an entire room before anyone even knows you were there. It's the kind of design Assassin's Creed once flirted with, but never fully embraced. So if you've been waiting for Ubisoft to bring back the old assassin fantasy, you don't have to wait. It already exists. You just need to load up Hitman. Anyway, that's it for this one. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.